What's up, everybody? Good morning. Just getting this all set up here. High Impact News at 10, so we're just waiting for that before we start looking for anything. All right, cool. Should be set up to go. 1 minute till we open up here with the news. I like the idea of, let's kind of look at what we've been doing. Okay, buy side here. For those that have been around, we've been saying we're not trying to call a top. Let's clear up all these executions. All right, so anytime that we've been running lower, simply into inefficiencies before continuing higher, right? We've kind of played around these daily levels. We're going to move these. Not too important at the moment. Really what we were looking at was this original 4 hour, right? We've failed to get underneath it here. We revisited it yesterday, still holding, and now we've attacked that buy side. So we've just continued to attack really buy side liquidity as we would have expect to see. At this point though, because we've hit all-time highs, right, we're going to be in a pretty interesting scenario. Real quick, I just want to see how we open up off of this 1 minute. Right, obviously we have this fair value gap here. If we're bullish though, this one here holds. Right, we create this wick, we pass through the wick with another fair value gap. Consequent encroachment of that holds. So what I'm really looking at is now, right, do we just continue to respect the discounts that are being formed along the way? Where do we want to reach? As we said, we're at all-time high, so we can get a little tricky. One thing I would do is I'll take the standard deviation of the daily range. So I'm going to let this kind of pop up real quick. Maybe. Cool. Right, so where we opened at on the day here, right, daily opening, and then we have basically our standard deviation points of where price could reach based off that midnight level. We've already really gone through half standard, one standard, we've kind of blasted through that. So 1.5 and 2 is kind of what we would look for bullish delivery. Because as we said, if we show you a daily chart, we're actually sitting at all-time highs right now. Right, we've just cleared this high here. And at this moment, we really don't have anything else that we can use to target. So we'll take standard deviations, and then we'll also take, I like projections. Right, so what I would do is kind of take the projection of the last move prior to getting broken, which is really here. Project that out, right? Gives us targets to still look for as well. Yeah. So as of the moment, I still favor higher prices. Right. Bullish delivery. We have a 5 minute fair value gap in here, but as we mentioned, this 1 minute is really what I'm looking at now. We've already held this discount. We're starting to hold this discount. So we could see if we run this high and start pushing towards that, basically 1 standard deviation, 1.5, excuse me. Right, one other thing we could do is take this 830 move. That's a manipulation leg as well. So if we were to kind of measure that out, notice we've hit the 2nd standard. So we got the 3rd as well. So a few different targets we can reach for this morning. We'll see if that silver bullet doesn't want to form, give us an entry. Want to see if this volume imbalance here remains open. That remains open. Possibility of expanding. Okay, because not only are we holding this discount, but notice here. A bearish fair value gap. We've closed above. We'll start offering us support. We close above it here. Look at the candle bodies refusing to close near the consequent encroachment. So we're wicking into the lower bullish fair value gap here, but the bodies themselves are showing an unwillingness to really go anywhere. So I want to see if we continue to play around here, or if we're going to kind of get underneath that fair value gap, get underneath this. If we can clear both of these, closing underneath, then I think we should be able to release back into this fair value gap here. This is our original 930 framework, and we often speak about once this gets formed, price can revisit it multiple times and still actually deliver as we want to see. So if we were going to start breaking down structure in here, I would still allow this fair value gap to hold us. Right, we're not completely abandoning the idea. Okay. Closing underneath consequent encroachment. As we say, early indication, we may want to actually break down here. Use this now as a potential inversion. If we're going to start using this as that inversion, right, we get into this low. That's short-term low liquidity. And I still like this here. Let's go to like a 2, let's see, 2 minute, 5 minute. 5 minute has this larger fair value gap. So we need to be aware of that just in case we want to tap and go there. Let's look at the 5 minute. It's also paired with an old liquidity pool, so that may be an area that we want to actually hold from. So we can see the 1 minute within that, so we'll leave that. Don't really need to see this either. Really have that 5 minute. And then these two 1 minute fair value gaps here. Good afternoon. What's up? What's up? Good afternoon, brother. It's not morning. Or you're probably somewhere different. Where you be at if it's afternoon for you. Bearish fair value gap left aligned with consequent encroachment of the inversion. So we're in a pretty tricky spot, okay, because we can see it both sides, to be honest. I could see this bearish fair value gap holding us with this swing high to run us into a short-term low. But at the same time, if we want to push up right and through that right after holding this, notice that the candle bodies never close underneath of it. And now we've opened with a bullish, actually back-to-back bullish volume imbalances. So we're creating opposing PD arrays. Let's see which one wants to hold out. NQ choppy. We've already moved so much coming off of yesterday's close. Right, we may consolidate here, and that's something that we expect. If we've already moved a significant amount, especially right, this is after market hours here. We moved a tremendous amount higher. We've reached buy-side liquidity before the New York session. So we may run into a scenario where, right, we kind of play around here the remainder of the morning, which unfortunate, but at least we understand. So far, I like seeing that. But as we said, really getting sandwiched between these two PD arrays. So for me, right, the fact that we've created this bearish aligned with this inversion, we clear that bearish, this becomes an inversion, this becomes a reclaimed inversion. I would like that for higher prices, to be honest. Right, if we can clear both of these. However, if we hold there, we should get right through this low. And I would think that the target would become this liquidity, right? This swing low directly aligned with the 5 minute inefficiency. So now we have liquidity paired with an inefficiency, we often speak about how that's a strong kind of magnet on price. Right, what I'm talking about is this swing low right here. Short-term low, sell side, paired with the 5-minute inefficiency. So on the 5-minute chart, right, that's just a low. Doesn't look like a swing low, it's just a candle low, but we understand it is a swing low on this 1 minute. And now you can really see us getting sandwiched right here between these two PD arrays. So to me, whichever one gives way will then offer us support in the opposite direction. So all right, what I mean, if this bullish fair value gap gives way, it should be used as resistance to send us into this sell side. If this bearish fair value gap gives way higher, right, I would see that now as being used as support to actually run us into the high and potentially just up into some of those projections that we may have had. Which way to go? I need to get that back just in case. Right, so right there, we'll throw up the 2.5. Cool. Okay. Now we wait. Hodge trades. Oh, what's up, Hodge? Okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I gotta get used to y'all YouTube names again. This will be interesting. If this candle closes above, leaving the volume imbalance aligned with consequent encroachment, I actually wouldn't mind that as a potential look. Probably aim just for 5 handles because low hanging fruit. But we have to close above, okay? We don't want to go in early. In this scenario, I'm not trying to do an anticipation entry, right? Not even trying to do a volume imbalance entry here because we're within the bearish. So I wouldn't trust something like that until it's been confirmed. So a little tidbit on kind of how I go about choosing which ones I do use the volume imbalance entry and which ones I like to see actually remain open. In this case, would want to see the volume imbalance remain open, candle closure above first before I'd be willing to look for a long there. Because to me, still holding bearishly. Closing underneath consequent encroachment for a second time of this 1 minute fair value gap. As we said, if we're going to do that, that to me thinks that we're going to want to run lower into the low here, sell side. See if we get a closure below. Closure below the fair value gap's best case scenario. At this point, okay, this is our dealing range high to low. We're within that being stuck. So we can run out this interrange liquidity, actually still hold this low and come back for this high now that we have, right, notice, high, 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 relative equal highs. I don't like that we just ran that low, wicked it, and still kind of held this fair value gap, especially because we have a bullish volume imbalance there. If we're going to start breaking down, I'd want to see these give way. Right, we're still chopping in here, to be honest. Go to 15 second. Yeah, still just playing around. We need to start breaking down here soon. 30 second. Right, so really what I would see is this was a 1 minute fair value gap. We break structure lower. We leave behind a new fair value gap on the 30-second chart. This 30-second chart would need to hold to take us into this low. If we're going to clear this fair value gap on that 30-second, we're going to come back for this high, potentially this high here. So we need to see this one offer us resistance. Nice, I like that. Close underneath this 1 minute here on the actual 1 minute chart. So we still got 20 seconds. But I like the fact that the 30 seconds showing a willingness to hold us there. So now we wait for the 1 minute candlestick close. Which basically whenever this 30-second candlestick closes, that'll be the 1 minute. So if we get below that 1 minute here, same idea. Cool. All right, so we did close below. However, we opened with a bearish volume imbalance immediately on this inversion. I still want to see price push lower, but with this bullish volume imbalance, need to be careful there. I still like the idea of this sell side being targeted. I'm short from this fair value gap, consequent encroachment. Stop is really above the consequent encroachment. Stop is above this candle's high. And then we're aiming for Really that sell side. I don't know if we'll get there. Price is moving ugly, so got a half handle stop loss. I guess I could just show you guys what we're talking about here. Okay. Went in on this fair value gap, targeting sell side here. Stop loss, right? Half a handle, half a tick, 2 ticks, excuse me, above entry. So very minuscule at this point. I'm fine taking that stop. Want to see that low though. Right, as we said, we got to be worried because even though we close below, 1 candle chance, this candle opens back in the fair value gap, and now we have a bullish volume imbalance. So to me, right, this here is basically what we don't want to see. More than likely, we get stopped because we just ran that short-term low. Right, and we get stopped there. So stopped at break even. We're fine with that. All right, we'll look for more opportunities. As we said, 30-second chart, we clear this, we're going to come for this high. This high would be next, and then this one. So far, really all over the place. Right, in theory, still holding this, even though we paint outside the line slightly. Let me go back to that 30-second inversion there. We close above this as well. So we may want to watch and see. Yeah, we hideous right here. Don't really want to go back in. Right, we have a fair value gap here. I'm not really trusting that too much with how we're moving within this. So if I'm gonna trust this to go long, I need to see this one hold, move away, then we could use another one, right? I like the confirmation entries. So even though we clear a short-term low here, technically breaking structure with this fair value gap, right? The reason I'm not looking to long that is because we're still within this range here, right? So really we can play back and forth within this as long as we want, and not clear either external here or this external up here. And because of that, we just need more confirmation before me going in. Right, I was fine going in here because we had this target with the liquidity, but now whereas we're aiming for higher targets, when we don't really have targets to aim for, right, I'm a little more hesitant. So once again, we've actually created a BPR here. This bullish fair value gap completely gets overtaken with a bearish, perfectly aligned with it. But we don't trust that either. Yeah, we may just call this a wrap. Might not give us a day. But just not a very favorable day. We already understood we're most likely going to be in low probability conditions following, right, the large run up prior to New York. Also because we've hit daily liquidity, right, prior to New York as well. So even if we want to continue higher, which I think we do, right? If I had to give a macro perspective, I would expect higher prices, but that doesn't mean we just have to continue to blast off, right? If I go to a daily chart, reset let me move all this. Look at this daily candlestick, okay? There's only so much a daily candlestick could do. So we've already moved 61 handles, okay? That's larger than really any other bullish day that we've had as far as, right, close. Let's see. Yeah, so this is the largest range day we've had in really, right, maybe 2 weeks. So we understand that. We understand we've attacked the liquidity. We understand it's Thursday. We're heading into the end of the week. All right, so when all these things come together, that's what leads me to believe that even though price may move higher, it's going to be higher resistance, low probability. All right, so this type of delivery where we can understand where it's going, but it's just going to have a lot of mental capital if you're in here trying to hold. But I still like the idea of going higher. Okay, we held, so let's kind of figure out where we are here. This 30-second. Okay. We're holding this 1 minute still, and now we held the discount. Right? So even though it's ugly, as we look at this, in my mind, discounts are holding with more authority, more purpose, I'll say. And we continue to reach for the high. So I like the idea of, you got your bread overnight. Good shit, brother. That's what we like to see right there. Closing above this, pretty good idea for a pretty good look for an inversion. Picked up a few more apex avals. Maybe I'll just play around with that since we're moving so gross. All right, so if we close above this at this point, right, that's kind of what I was speaking of where we're showing a willingness to hold this discount. We've expanded through a swing point here at this high. This is the first candle that will close above this inversion. So I'd like to enter on that if we give the opportunity. We have to wait for it to close, however. If we close inside the fair value gap, not interested. Even then, that's an aggressive run because we clear the short-term high. Yeah, just even there, I don't like it, right? Because it's a wick of this high here. Yeah, we are hideous. All right. Well, instead of wasting y'all time, we might just have to wrap this up. Unfortunate. Let's see. Let's see if we hold the volume imbalance again. Right, another indication of just a choppy market. PD arrays not being respected in either direction. Right, sure we're holding this, but I mean, if we're gonna tap into that so many times, that in itself is a good indication that price really isn't in a hurry to go anywhere. Right, it's not really moving in any given direction. We're just stalling. So we'll give it. Yeah, I really don't want to do anything, honestly. Oh, I'd like to. See, power would be cool, but I'll be busy this afternoon. Which is why we were hoping something this morning would have been. But yeah, okay. We'll give it till 10:30. We'll let the opening range play in and see if that can free us up, but yeah, this is ugly. I almost want a turtle soup. This is more like a turtle soup, to be honest. Like if we ran this low with how we're moving, I almost feel like we'd reverse from there. Go back for the high. Choppy range. Still actually holding the 1 minute though, and the volume imbalance. Oh, brother. Yeah, I like that, honestly. Especially with what we're doing here. If we're going to run lower, I think we go lower to go higher. A lot of liquidity created here now at these highs. Would definitely like to see that. At least a 5-minute touch at this point with all this we've been doing. Once again, right? Another fair value gap. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Isn't this fun? These are the days where you blow up. Right? Where you're trying to go long and then short and then long again and then short. Whereas us, nah, I probably won't do nothing. At this moment with this range we're in. And right, notice how those all the swing highs and swing lows in here have not been closed above. Right, that's an important thing to note. To where we're taking, right, like this high here, we never close above, and this low. Sure that we run the low with wicks, but notice no candle bodies are ever closing underneath that. Right, and in the same sense, right, this high we already understand, but even this high here, sure we're running the high a few times, but notice the bodies themselves are still within this tiny range right here. So we've compressed from this range, right? This is the range that we were within. So now really, right, this high to this low here. Body's refusing to get out of that shaded area. So for me, until we show a willingness to close either above this or below this, there's nothing to do. Because sure, you can go in saying, well, we do want to see higher prices, right? We expect that. That's just what I would expect to see. But nothing in here is giving me confidence to just execute on it. So if I was going to execute on it, right, even if I was going to do something like this, to me, it's just not following my rules. It's more of a gambling play. To where even if that did work out, I wouldn't feel necessarily satisfied because I know that I didn't really see anything that was giving me the structure to enter. Sure, we can follow it and we understand what it's holding, right? This volume imbalance here, this inversion here, or this bullish. And now if we get above this fair value gap, right, there'll be an inversion there. But even with all that, I still need more, right? The market environment itself, as we said, low probability. So I'm fine even missing a move to just preserve capital. Patience. Hell yeah. This is a great day for patience here. I mean, I'll give you the same thing, right? Early on, I'd say 8 months ago, I'm trying to go long in here. And then I'm trying to go short here. And then I'm trying to long this again. And then as we create this bearish, I'm trying to go short because I think I'm off sides. And at the end of the day, I'm down for my whole account because I'm just getting chopped up in this. Right? Because in reality, since we got on at 10 o'clock here, we have moved 6 handles. We've gone 6 handles in either direction. Think of that. So for us to even get our 5 handles, right, that would be an absolute stretch. Because we've barely even moved 6 handles within this whole range in total in the last half hour. That's that shit we don't like. What's that volume imbalance right there? See if that one stays open. that stays open and we close above this fair value gap, we may have a chance here to move. Stop would have to be under the swing low, but still, I just don't like the fact that we have these lows here. Yeah, nothing. Oh, I was long at 10:03. Got out after ES was still in the bearish gap. Yeah, good idea. Quick to preserve capital. Shoot it up, tap, tap. This is crazy for real. Look at that. Look at that. I'm just shook. All right, let's get higher though. All right, we want buy side here. That's what we're looking for. The highest of high resistance liquidity runs. First closure above. All right, we should run into this now. Closing above, right? We've finally broken that range we're speaking of here. Candle body. That's an early indication. We're going to run for buy side now. So now it's a matter of how far. I don't know if we want to, if we hit this, we might just reverse. Depends on what time we hit it as well. It's about to be 10:30, okay? So the 9:30 to 10:30 session may be put into place. Let's see if that, I want to see if this actually gets left open. If this gets left open, we may have an opportunity, but we're just so close to terminus, right, of this liquidity that we'd really have to hope we run farther than just that buy side alone. Maybe we can get to the 2.5 standard deviation point. What's the volume imbalance here? That's not the right thing. And the fair value gap, right? So kind of paired together as one. Two discounts as one. As we clear highs. So yeah, we should hold from here and go. Stop under that. 5 handles would get us where? This will be my last entry here. Or I guess only. Or second besides the shorts. We'll try to use that volume imbalance right there to take us into yeah, we'll try to use that to get 5 handles out of this here. Tough because, let's see. Price action, whatever, we'll let it rock. Chief Keef. Huh, that's actually we don't like. How did I become so good at reading and trading? Totally discretionary this much. I had to do it over and over and over and over and over. To be honest, right? And for those that have been around in the group, they understand this. I've often said the only thing that separates me from most people is time. I've been practicing using these concepts for years and years, right? Longer than most ICT students. I'd say most people probably got into it 2020, 2021, mostly 2022 with the 22 mentorship, right when it came out for free. But I've had these concepts since 2018. Right, so I've just had a lot of time sitting here in front of the charts over and over, day in, day out, watching price move, watching price deliver, watching how price will respect PD arrays, right? Watching what happens when PD arrays fail. I've seen it all. So now I have a large bank of knowledge and understanding, right? Experience that I can fall back on that allows me to do what you guys see here, right? Follow price pretty accurately. And I've often said, I'm never confused. We may have times where I'm wrong, right? You're going to be wrong. You're going to be offsides. Use your air. But I'm never confused by what price is doing, right? It always makes sense. Once you become proficient in the concepts, that confusion falls away. And at this point, right, it's pretty good. There's buy side. I got long, right? So I did get tapped in there. We'll see if that plays out. At this point, though, I'm going to go stop, tight stop, because I just don't know if we run above that. And that's what's tough, is that, here, I'll show you guys this. So this will be our actual entry here. Only entry on the live account, right? In right on that volume imbalance, as we said, after confirming it. For 5 handles, we need to get 50.79 and a half. I don't know if we can get there, but I'm going to go stop. Closure above the, whoa, jeez. Closure above buy side here, stop will get put really to break even because I don't want to get stopped here. Right, with how we're moving, I just don't want to hold risk in this market. Now that we're above this buy side, if we want to run, we should run, especially now bullish volume imbalance. So yeah, I'll go here. So at this point, no risk. I would expect that volume imbalance here to remain open. If we close it all the way in to stop us out, I could care less. We'll see if we get that final TP. And after that, right, we'll call it a morning. The only issue is this 2 minute, let's see. We never got into that 2 minute. So if price is not in a hurry, right, if we're going to continue with this ugly delivery, we get stopped because we're going to return into this fair value gap. And we understand that, and I'm okay taking that stop if we do. This is with the anticipation that we want to continue to push now that we've cleared this buy side and we've gotten above the 1030, basically high. We should continue to push a little bit, at least into that 2.5 standard deviation point, which should get us out. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. Well, that's what we like, okay? Low resistance there. Easy. And we get it. And now we could be done for the day. And it's a great lesson here because, okay, what did we do in here? Nothing. Right? What did we do prior? Nothing. So we sat here for basically an hour. We sat here for 45 minutes doing nothing. And we finally get paid off for it, okay? Patience pays. If we were in here trying to go long and then short and then long and then short, I wouldn't have had the capital, right? Mostly the mental capital to enter here. Instead, I would have been wiped out. I would have been pissed off and I would have probably walked away. But because we understand what we're looking for, right? We forecasted it well beforehand, gave exactly what we would expect. This here, we're not looking to do anything until either this range high or this range low gets cleared. The low never gets cleared, the high did. Lo and behold, when we break through the high, what happens? We create the first fair value gap there, right? That's not random. And then we create the volume imbalance following it. That's not random. So I'm fully confident going in there, right on that fair value gap or on the volume imbalance. Stop underneath the fair value gap because at this point, all of this in here is balanced. If price is bullish, it's going to have no intention to return below this fair value gap as we saw. And look how beautiful that is, right? As we come to expect, swing low entry, swing high exit. I think we high tick that. Oh my gosh, we high tick that candle. Isn't that beautiful? Swing low and swing high nailed. Hey, we're used to that. That's that shit we do like. All right, let's read the questions now. Do props support futures or do they focus solely on CFDs? FX prop firms do not have futures. If you're going with a futures prop firm, they will. Right? Apex, MyFundedFX, Top Step, right? Those are futures companies that allow futures. But if you're trying to use like FTMO, MyFundedFX, the not futures version, or any other FX company, it's going to be solely CFDs. Besides tape reading and actually trading, anything I could do practically? Yes, every single day at the end of the day, right? And this is what I did. You go in and you mark up what happened, how you could have been a part of it, and what targets you would have hit, right? And I don't care if, let's say that, like today, right? Let's say you didn't even take this trade. Let's say that you got chopped up in here and now you feel terrible. Well, in your journal, you don't mark any of that, right? The journal is the pseudo experience. As Michael says, right, it should only be good things in there. So you would go up and mark this entry here, acting like you actually took that entry and you actually exited here, right? That's how you would mark it up. Because over time, as long as you do this, you're going to start creating that pseudo experience, and eventually, right, you'll see these things happen beforehand. And it's best to have writing here and kind of write label what it is that you're looking at. Which copy do you use with Trade8? I use Apex's trade copier. Apex has their own, right? So if you have any Apex accounts, you can connect any account to it. That's what I use. Because then that allows you to trade one account off TradingView, but copy those into multiple accounts, which I like, right? So we don't have a bunch of different things that I'm trying to focus on. Yeah, the streams are recorded. All the YouTube streams will always be posted in just on the YouTube channel, and then right, the private streams that we have for the Discord get posted as well, usually that night. So yeah, they should all be around. Should all be there. Okay. At this point, yeah, we don't, I mean, nothing to do. Right, the beautiful thing of this trading strategy, not even the strategy, I would say just of what I've been able to achieve, is that I don't really need to sit around most of the time, right? For people that capture longer than 5 handle moves, right, or they have large stops, they need to price to move a good amount for them to feel comfortable, right? They're probably still sitting in a trade here from here, or they're trying to go long here right now, which that may work as well. But for us, right, we're completely done already. And now we get to enjoy the rest of the day. At this point, we're kind of just hanging out to see if this holds us, right? Because that would be a logical area to hold us if we're going to want to expand again. You see, we fell short of the 2.5 standard deviation barely. But the fact that we were trying to reach into there is what the point of this exit was. And the fact that we high tick that is just, that's so pretty. Never coming into here. If we close below this fair value gap, I think that we actually gravitate into these lows now. So that would be my next move. But yeah, we'd have to get underneath there. And I'm really not too interested in what else we have. My brother, very choppy session, very true. Opening range gap is large, agreed. Looking for sells on ES. Not a bad idea. Right, you can get sells, but you'd have to wait for this fair value gap. If you're gonna look for sells, this is the trigger point. If we're above that, I'm not looking to short anything until we get underneath that. And then at that point, I'd be free to look for the shorts. Into this sell side, right? That would be my next objective. Because now we still have the untapped 5-minute fair value gap. Can you please read NQ? Maybe. Not today, but maybe some other time we give it a look. Saudi, welcome, by the way. I'm purely a ES guy. I don't really care too much for NQ. That's pretty ugly. I mean, not any uglier than ES, but I always have NQ pulled up on my other screen because I use it for SMT, but as far as trading on it, I don't really do that anymore. If we leave a fair value gap right here, that's a short. So in this case, we're forecasting that. We still have 2 minutes until anything happens. But, right, and this is the beauty of these concepts, is that if this candle was to close below this fair value gap, and then we leave a fair value gap there, right? We're basically forecasting what's going to happen. If I was to see that, that means that I'm correct in my thinking, and price is going to continue to these lows. Right, so I'm already almost always 1 or 2 steps ahead of what currently is taking place. To whereas, right, if this candle closes inside like it did, well, now there's nothing to do. Right, so that idea is invalidated, and we still need to wait for the closure below. So it's always if-then, right? As we said, there's always an if-then scenario, which makes it very easy to follow price like this. If this happens, then this happens. NQ was cleaner. It could have been. Right, maybe had an entry from here. That's for sure. Could have caught that up into the high. Or even here, actually. But right, the cleaner is subjective. Because if you were trying to enter like we did, you don't get the confirmation. We're still within this range, and we're still within this range. The first time we close above these highs is here, and now we don't get an entry long. Whereas in ES, we close above the range with the fair value gap, leaving the volume imbalance. Right? Cleaner. Obvious entry into the 5-handle run. So it's just a matter of what you can read. Right? ES will always move cleaner, or we'll say more precise. NQ, you're not going to be able to have 2.5 handle stops. I mean, that's just the nature of NQ. It moves too erratically. The ranges are too large. Where in ES, I'm very ever right above a 2.5 handle stop. Like on this one, what was that? Right, 225. So 2 1/4. Whereas let's see, same entry. Now we've closed below and left that fair value gap. So right, this is where I'd look to short. Especially if we returned into consequent encroachment. Stop would go above this swing high to target now. Sell side right there. Do you just take 5-handle moves only on the daily? Wait, moves only on the daily. And that's it. Or you have periods. So usually, if I don't have objectives, it's 5 handles. If I'm reaching for something, I'll hold till the target. All right, so let's say, right, in theory that I had entered from like this fair value gap. I would hold until buy side, not 5 handles. So it really depends on the market structure, right? There goes that breakdown in structure right there. As we said, once we close below, we use that as resistance to gravitate into sell side. Hopefully y'all took that. But yeah, for me, right, it really depends. Sometimes I go 5 handles, sometimes I aim for liquidity points, sometimes I do both, right? Sometimes 5 handles will align with an inefficiency or a liquidity at that point, which I like those. So it's just on what I feel at the moment. I would say if you're someone starting out, 5 handles always would be the best idea, right? Secure yourself 5 handles. See if we hit that sell side and then we'll wrap it up. Fair value gap, I'll watch that now. At this point, this is the one that should hold us. We don't expect this to be returned into. We watch here. More importantly, we watch this volume imbalance, which means this becomes institutional order flow, right? If I expect something like this to hold, we may wick into the consequent encroachment, but no candle body should close back above this consequent encroachment until this sell side here is met. At which point Nah, we no need to go in again. We're good. We'll just watch this one. So there's consequent encroachment, right? That's really all I would want to see if we're going to go lower. We close above that. I actually think we just come back into this range, right? Maybe equilibrium here. Let's see. High to low, equilibrium is probably right at that fair value gap. Yeah, I mean, that's perfect. So, okay, right? Closing above consequent encroachment, we return into equilibrium. Holding this consequent encroachment gives us a chance to run into this low, into sell side. Ideally, one candle chance we get back below the volume imbalance because now we can use it as support. But if this very next candle can negate that, close back underneath, especially because it opened with a bullish volume imbalance, good sign for lower prices. We then will trust that this will hold us to gravitate us into this sell side liquidity right here. So far, so good, right? Playing out just a script, consequent encroachment, wick, body's not near it. We like that. Next thing we need to see is this candle remain below this volume imbalance. If it stays above it, we may kind of consolidate in here a little bit. Hey, I'm glad you're learning something, brother. Been doing this a while, so I figure I might as well share what I can every now and then. Yeah, beautiful. All right, so we close back underneath, one candle's chance. We would expect now for us to run through this low, through sell side into the 5 minute, which at that point, I honestly don't think, I don't think we close above this buy side. So to me, that is an early sign we want to continue bullish. So this run lower into this 5 minute should not be seen as a breakdown and structure to target this low. To me, this is simply a retracement into an inefficiency before the next bullish leg takes place, delivering us into the 2.5 standard deviation of this manipulation. Right, once we get into the 5 minute, then we look for basically buy setups again, right? So for me, something maybe like this, breaking structure, right? Ideally, maybe even here, then breaking highs, holding once, breaking again. That's my entry, right? I don't enter here on the lows like this. If we break structure, right? Even though there may be a fair value gap, I'm not, let's say, a reversal trader. I like the confirmation. So say we did do something like this to where we break structure at a high. If we can hold that and then break structure again, leaving the 5 minute, right? That's where my entries come. So basically it's the second leg of the either distribution or the accumulation. At this point, I just want to see if we get into that liquidity and then we'll call it a day. Ooh. Low. Let's get that sell side. We can still hold that. We'll watch. Right. All this is a short-term high being cleared, volume imbalance holding. We could run back. Shoot it up, shoot it up, down. We still go for this low, especially seeing that, how we do there. If we overtake both of these volume imbalances, you could almost go short like that. Not going to do it, but we'll test that. All right, this is more of a high frequency trading algo. Using the volume imbalance right there. For a 1 to 2 would be like that. Trying to enter on that volume imbalance right there. Let's see what it does. That'd be entry. Right, stop would be above technically the volume imbalance here. I'm not taking this, just so you know. Be aware. All right, this is how we follow price, and this is how we learn. This is what I would do. I'd set up scenarios like this, right, and I would see how it would play out. And then if I was wrong, I would go in and see, well, what happens after, right? Why am I wrong? What takes place now? Ba-da-bum-bum-bum. Oh, stop. Stopped out. All right, well, now at this point, we're playing. We've been done for the past 15 minutes, so we'll wrap it up here, everybody. As long as there's no other questions. Right, one more time quickly, we'll just run through our only entry of the day. Right, everything in here, nonsense. Blah, blah, blah. Right, we call that the barcode pattern. For us, we were either waiting on a break of this high with a candle body or a break of this low with a candle body. Whichever one took place first, we knew that would be the direction price would head in, so we would look to enter there. After all this consolidation, we're able to break through this high with the up close candle, closing above it, leaving behind 2 discounts in the form of a fair value gap and the volume imbalance. I am a fan of volume imbalances more, so I enter on the volume imbalance on the low of it as we come into it. Stop below this candle here, which is under the fair value gap, to target 5 handles. All right, 5 handle target was here. So we end up catching the swing low, getting through the buy side, and lo and behold, we catch the absolute high of the morning session so far. Not one tick lower, not one tick higher, right? We high tick that. That's the high of the morning session. We've retraced back into the range. And at this point, I still would favor sell side, but right, we're content with enough. So if we run into that, that's fine. We won't be a part of it. We would just like to see price continue to move as we expect. How do you know when to expect what does that say? A deep retracement into a fair value gap or not? If we've already hit objectives, okay, so like this, when we're in here reaching for this buy side, I don't expect a deeper retracement, which is why I'm fine entering, because we're near the buy side. Now that we've hit the buy side, after hitting liquidity, that's when we can get deeper retracements into untapped inefficiencies, and that is why I would look for a run lower into this 5-minute now. Right, on the way there, price is in a hurry, it shouldn't give a deep retracement. Once we reach objectives, if we're still on side as far as our bias, then we get the deep retracements into the inefficiencies before the second stage to take out, right, buy side. So that's exactly what I would expect here. This is simply that, a retracement into this discount, which should be met by some form of support to then attack this high again. Right, that's my macro perspective. Yeah, with that, we should be good to go. So once again, I appreciate y'all hanging out today, sitting in on the YouTube stream of the week. We'll have another one next week. If you guys are interested in joining the private group, right, you can check the link in the Discord, my YouTube. No need for that, but if you're someone that wants to be in with me, right, as we do this almost every day, that'll be for you. But yeah, until we talk again next week, hope you guys have a great weekend. Hope you enjoy it. And yeah, we'll meet up again sometime next week. I'll send out a tweet for whenever the YouTube stream will take place. But have a good day, everybody. Have a good weekend, and we will speak next week. See you guys.